What's good, Wizards fans? It's your host, the real Ed Oliver, and my guy Brandon Scott. The Washington Wizards blow out the Detroit Pistons 120-99. Let's talk about it. Let's get to it. Dub.
You are Locked On Wizards, your daily Washington Wizards podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Welcome to the Locked On Wizards podcast. It's your host, the real Ed Oliver, and my guy Brandon Scott. Just want to thank you guys for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get podcasts. Today's episode is brought to you by Bet Online. Bet Online has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. Bet Online, where the game starts. So we are live after the dub. We're going to give our takes on the game. And then we see some comments rolling in already. We're going to answer your comments or respond to your comments after we give our takes for about 15 to 20 minutes. Definitely want to hear from you guys as well. But Brandon, big win, big dub, way to bounce back after losing to the Cleveland Cavaliers in overtime. The Wizards are now 3-1. The Pistons are 1-3 now. Wes Unseld Jr. made adjustments from the last three games. He staggered the bench's minutes. He just didn't have a whole bench lineup with Anthony Gill, Rui, Gaff, DeLon Wright, and Will Barton. This time he switched it up. He had Kuzma play with the bench unit. He had Bradley Beal play with the bench unit. What were your thoughts on that adjustment that Wes Unseld Jr. made tonight?
I thought that was smart. I think that was good coaching on his part. That's outstanding coaching. That's the adjustments I want to see from Wes this season. Like I said, that was a good move on his part because it kept the momentum going. This was a good win. This was a good quality win. I mean, we knocked the socks off this team. I mean, looking at the bench, Will Barton was cooking tonight. Will the Thrill from B-More was cooking tonight. Gaff, he must have heard the criticism because he showed out. He got some points. We're going to get on a few things we want to work on when it comes to Gaff. But overall, I'm pleased with his performance on the bench. He did better. What else from the bench? 10 points. Beal came in after he went out with the back tightness, came back, still got 13 points. He had some points down the stretch in the fourth quarter. So no, I love that decision. It kept scores on the court. It kept the momentum, it kept the chemistry going. So no, I thought that was a really good move by Wes.
110%. It cut the momentum going, like you said. Porzingis came out there. He hit 2 threes, had a dunk, had 10 points in the first quarter. They went out there on a roll, and it kept the momentum going. You look at the Cleveland Cavaliers game. We had a lead. We jumped out to a lead, and then they put that full bench unit in. Kind of reminded me of the Scott Brooks days where, that John Wall team where we had a great starting five, but the bench came in and they would lose leads. And this time they were able to keep a lead and actually motor a lead with Will Barton. Will Barton, I think he can be a 6th man of the year candidate the way he's playing. I think this is just a perfect role for him. We talked about this before where it's just better for Will to come off the bench where he's cooking second units. He's a lead ball handler out there at times. DeLon Wright is just a pest on defense. Bradley Beal played with the bench unit. He got hurt, had back tightness. He came back in, played really well in the fourth quarter. Then Kuz played with that bench unit. He plays really well next to Rui. Rui had a solid game, but the bench they played really well. The bench altogether, the bench had 44 bench points. Gafford played a lot better. Guys really bounced back from that Cavaliers game. Kuz said after the game in the press conference, he said he had a bad game, that he played like a wimp or something like that in the Cavs game, and he bounced back and played a lot better in this game. But the bench altogether, they had 44 points. Will Barton, looking at his stats, he had 13 points in the first half, and he finished with 16 points, 4 for 6 from the 3-point line. Will Barton had a great game. Gafford had 9 points, was finishing around the rim, had a couple of dunks, 4 for 6 from the field, played a lot stronger than what he did in that Cleveland game. Rui with 10 points, 4 for 8 from the field. He had a nice dunk. He bullied Jalen Duren on one play, almost dunked on Cade Cunningham on one play. He just looked spry in transition. I thought he gave effort on the defense side of the ball. Had a couple deflections here and there. So I thought Rui played well. So just all around, DeLon Wright, man, we hope he's healthy. We hope he bounces back from the hamstring injury, hamstring tightness. He had 5 points, 4 steals, ridiculous, 1 block, and 3 assists. He's just a stat sheet stuffer, man. He's just what the Wizards need right now. They haven't had a guy like that in years, a guy who's just a defensive stopper, and just a defensive-minded guard out there, and that's exactly what the Washington Wizards need. So I love Wes Unseld Jr. making adjustments. Last year he was slow to make adjustments. This year it's only taken him 3 games to make an adjustment. He should have never really went with an all-bench lineup. I know some teams do it. Anthony Gill got less minutes tonight. He had 2 points. He had 7 minutes, where Gill has gotten a good amount of minutes. And I like Gill, but there were just some situations in the game, especially late game situations. I know Porzingis has been in foul trouble like he was again today, but I did want to see Gill's minutes kind of just, get a little lower than what they were and stagger those minutes with Kuz. Let Kuz play with the bench guys. Let Brad play with the bench guys. Let Porzingis play with the bench guys. And I gotta tip my cap to Wes. And I know it's the Pistons; they're a lottery team, but they got some good young guys. Jaden Ivey's a great rookie. Kate Cunningham is a great second-year player. Jalen Duren. They got in Bogdanovich, former Wizard. He was killing us tonight too. So they're not a sleeper. They're not a slouch team. They can beat some good teams. The Pistons are going to surprise a couple teams this year. So I'll take this win. I think this is a good win.
No, I agree, and you hit the nail on the head. I think people are sleeping on Detroit. I think they're a lot better than advertised. They're a young team, they're a hungry team. It showed tonight. Yeah, we blew them up. We blew them out, but you see the talent on this team. I was scared about Ivy because Ivy's a talent. Kate Cunningham. So like you said, don't sleep on this team because I have them as a sleeper playoff team. I'm gonna be totally honest with you. I think they're a good young team who's gonna take that step. But let's get back to our team. So, like you said, the bench showed out, and this is the big reason why I had optimism going into the season for this team. The depth, the bench looks good. The decision to start Denny and play Barton off the bench, incredible decision. It shows he's definitely a 6 man of the year candidate because he's that lightning plug off the bench. He can score on volume. He can create his own shot. He's a playmaker. It's just I love what I see from Will Barton. I love it. So overall, it's just I will say this. And you already mentioned it, Gill. I like him, but he's a blue card player. He does the tough stuff that doesn't get stats for, but he's struggling. The last couple games, wide open shots, he's just not hitting them. So I think a lot of people are waiting on Kispert to get back. I think Kispert getting back would be that final piece to this bench. But like you said, I'm not going to sleep on this win. Because Detroit is a good team. These are the games we want to win. The Bulls, that's a good win. We're winning the games we need to win. Now, obviously, Cavs is another story, but no, this is a good win, good quality win overall. So, no, I'm not going to sleep on the Pistons because I think that they're a quality team that could, get in our way. So, no, I'm impressed overall.
Yeah, and this is a win where we put our foots on their neck. The Pacers game, we let them come back. We let teams come back many times, even last year, the Clippers game where we let them come, we were up by 35. So this is a game where we smelled blood and went for the kill. We put our foot on their necks. Not to be too violent, but we finished teams off. Where that Pacers game, it really concerned me and scared me. So I'm happy with the way they finished this game and took over. But we're gonna get to some more individual performances and talking about the big three. But before we do that, this episode is brought to you by LinkedIn. These days, every new potential hire can feel like a high-stakes wager for your small business. You want to be 100% certain that you have access to the best qualified candidates available. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps find the right people for your team faster and for free. This is how it works. You add your job in the purple hashtag hiring frame to your LinkedIn profile to spread the word that you're hiring. Simple tools like screening questions make it easy to focus on candidates with just the right skills and experience so you can quickly prioritize who you like to interview and hire. It's why small businesses rate LinkedIn Jobs #1 in delivering quality hires versus leading competitors. It's the end of the year push, so it's all about finishing strong and finding the right candidates and right team members that can help you do that. And LinkedIn makes that super, super easy for you. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNBA to post your job for free. Terms and conditions apply. Thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen every day. For your second listen today, check out Locked On Sports Today. From the games that matter the most to the biggest stories in sports, go beyond the scoreboard and behind the scenes with local experts and insights on only Locked On can provide. Locked On Sports Today available on this app, YouTube, and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, yeah, Will Barton, he made a beautiful pass to Rui. That was a no-look pass. I forgot to bring that up too. I think that was the Rui dunk. Denny, he's got to make layups. We'll talk about the bad later. I guess we'll still stay on the good, and then we'll talk about the bad. Like, you want to talk about Gafford improving. I do want to touch on Denny finishing layups. We're definitely going to get to that in a couple minutes. But just some stats to point out too. Some team stats. Like I said, we had 44 bench points. The Detroit Pistons had 25 bench points. We shot 30% from the three, which is not good. It's below average, but we got to the paint. We finished. We only allowed the Detroit Pistons to shoot 28% from the 3-point line. Free throws, we did so much better tonight. The Cavs, we went 9 for 15. We didn't get to the line much either. We're one of the worst teams in free throw disparity as well. A lot of things, like the Bulls got a bunch of free throws. Some of that could be on officiating. I'm not going to blame the refs, but the Pistons got the Cavaliers got way more free throws than we did. The Bulls got way more free throws than we did. So we've been lopsided in the free throw disparity. We shot 84% from the free throw line. Rebounding is huge today. We out rebounded the Pistons 47-41. That was huge. Where the Cavs got 16 offensive boards, they dominated us on the glass. We had 26 assists tonight. We were able to move the basketball. That's good. Good. That shows how good the ball movement was. We had 7 blocks tonight. We're second in the lead in blocks per game so far through 4 games. We only had 12 turnovers tonight. Turnovers was a problem against the Cavs. 18 fast break points tonight. We got out in transition. I thought we moved the ball well. We got fast breaks and deflections. We had 54 points in the paint to their 44. We're really good at getting points in the paint. And our largest lead was 23. So we talked about the big three before we got on. I know you wanted to ask about the guys being able to play so well without Bradley Beal tonight. What were your thoughts on that when Brad went out? We just went on a big run.
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's a big thing to me. Look, Brad went out, franchise player went out, and Kuz and KP showed out. They showed the leadership. They took over. They are a big three. I'm gonna go ahead and throw it out there. Kuz is showing out. Kuz is showing out.
It's playing like an all-star.
Points. Oh man, look. I said that KP. I think KP can be an all-star this season, and I stand by that. KP. I mean, the 3-point shooting, the whole package. He's looking good. He is playing like an all-star. Kuz. I mean, is it crazy to think we can give guys an all-star game? Yeah, but I think you have 3 guys who, I know it's early, but they're playing like all-stars. Kuz is showing out. You got to pay this guy. I mean, he's showing you got to pay this guy. He's worth the money. He really is. He has revitalized his career in DC. Like I said, he went from being that role guy in LA, playing in LeBron's shadow, being a young guy, and coming to DC, he's turning himself into a really crafty all-around player. I love what I see from Kuz. I mean, he showed out every game so far. I mean, this big three, you can't say enough about this big three. KP, so just the fact that they showed out, they stepped up, they kept it. Look, the game ball goes to both of them. It goes to Kuz and KP, in my opinion, because they kept the momentum going. KP played some quality minutes tonight, and Kuz has stepped up. So no, the win is definitely on Kuz and KP, because very easily, like we've seen in teams of past, when Bill goes out, it collapses. No, not tonight. No, they stepped up. They did their jobs. They kept the ball rolling. No pun intended. And they really showed why this is a big three. You know what I mean? So no, I was very impressed with the big three. Bill, back tightness. Thought he was done for the game. Then he came out. Clearly he was in pain. You can see him going back in transition. He was in pain. The back was bothering him. Look, I get it, man. I'm 37. I get it, the back, man. So you ain't got to tell me. So the fact that he came back, 13 points, still did his thing. Leadership. I love what I see from this team. I'm very, very optimistic. And I really hate to say this, but I have not been as optimistic in a while. This team, the way they're playing right now, and I know it's still early. It's 4 games in, but if they can keep playing like this is a playoff team. Obviously, I think that I've said, I think this is a move away. They're a move away from being a serious contender for the 6th or maybe 5th spot. I think they're a move away. But I think, if you look at the chemistry, if you look at the ball movement, if you look at Bradley Beal stepping up in the leadership role, Kuz in the leadership role, being a more complete player, KP healthy, really contributing on both ends, this is a playoff team. Now we have to beat the Milwaukees, the Brooklyns, those teams, but the position we're at now, where a lot of people are projecting us as a play-in to, 8th seed to a 6th seed. Detroit's, the Chicago's, those are the teams you want to beat. The Indianas, you can't sleep on these teams because they're young, they're hungry, and they want nothing more than to knock off a team from playoff position. So, no, I'm definitely impressed. They look great tonight. But before we move on, tonight's episode is brought to you by BetOnline.net. BetOnline.net is your number one source for betting football and the start of the new basketball season. I used it tonight. Follow the latest player developments, team matchups, news, podcasts, and in-depth analysis on every game. And as always, BetOnline remains your continued source for all your sports wagering information, with live betting and up-to-the-minute scores for every sport out there. The fastest and easiest way to check in on all your favorite games and events, including Major League Baseball's playoff time, MMA, boxing, and the NBA. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. So hey, the big three, they showed out tonight.
I think they did. About the playoffs, I think they are a playoff team the way they're playing. They still got some things to clean up, rebounding, free throws, turnovers, and I thought they did that tonight. The only thing I will say that, naysayers will say is that, hey, Miles Turner didn't play with the Pacers, Darius Garland didn't play, Lonzo Ball didn't play, or Zach LaVine didn't play for the Bulls. So there were some guys missing, so that's what the naysayers will say about this team and the competition that we play. But at the same time, you can say, hey, the Bulls just beat the Celtics, who were in the finals last year. And the Cavaliers with Donovan Mitchell, they're still a heck of a team, even without Darius Garland. They look like a top 5 team in the East with Donovan Mitchell, Jared Allen, Evan Mobley. So they're still a top tier team in the Eastern Conference. And the Pacers are no slouch too with Benedict Mathurin. He's been playing really, really well. So even some of the lottery teams are good. This is just how good the Eastern Conference is or has been. We are going to play some good teams coming up. We're going to play the Sixers pretty soon. We're going to play some tough teams coming up. We do play the Pacers again on Friday, which is another lottery team. I don't know if Miles Turner is playing or not, but guys stepped up. Bradley Beal, man, with back tightness. At first, he had a couple turnovers, so he was a little shaky when he first came back in. But he had a couple step back and ones. He had one on Jaden Ivey, had one on Isaiah Livers, number 12 for the Pistons. So Bradley Beal stepped up in the clutch. He had some big shots. Honestly, he didn't really have to come back in. He really didn't have to. He probably could have just let Johnny get some more minutes if Wes was going to put Johnny in. But we're happy that Johnny finally got some burn tonight. Brad finished with 13.6 assists, 4 boards. How many turnovers? He only had 2 turnovers tonight, so he did better with that. So just all around the guys improved. Like I said, Porzingis dominated from the jump. He just has to find a way to not get in foul trouble. I think some of it's on the refs, but he got it going. He had some nice hook shots to get to the basket. He was being aggressive going to the basket. He was scoring in the paint. That's what I love from our 7-for-3 guy. He can step out and shoot threes and knock them down, 2 for 4 from the 3-point line. But he also was getting to the basket too. Kuz tonight was just a man on a mission, man. He is going to get paid this all season. So Tommy Shepard's got a tough decision to make, but if they want to compete, then yeah, you're going to have to pay Kuz. Kuz, he's getting paid $13.5 million right now, has a player option. If we don't pay him, somebody else will for sure, because he's definitely going to be a contributor. Like you said, he was a 3-and-D guy with the Lakers when they won their championship in the bubble, but he's way better than that. He can do way more than that. We saw that his rookie year and his sophomore year with the Lakers. And with the Wizards, he's just found his team, man. He's found his niche here. He's able to be a leader. He was 0 for 5 from the 3-point line, but he was 7 for 8 from the line. He was getting to the free throw line. He had a couple and-ones. He had a beautiful fast break. He had a couple dunks, just step-throughs. Rui had a nice pass. I love the block from Denny on Cade Cunningham, where he just swatted Cade Cunningham's shot, and it led to a fast break down to Kuzma. He finished. I thought Monte Morris was better tonight, too. He was a plus 19. I know people don't care about the plus-minus box. Kuzma was a plus 23. Denny was a plus 12 in the plus-minus. Gill was a plus 7. Barton was a plus 18. Gafford was a plus 19 as well. So I know plus-minus doesn't matter. Rui was a minus 5, but I thought Rui played well tonight. He got to his spots, hit down some mid-range shots. Gafford was a lot stronger, and DeLon Wright was a plus 2 with 5 points. He had a couple deflections and some steals that led to fast breaks as well. Brad took a charge in the beginning of the game. I like that too. But Denny, he missed that layup. I guess we'll get to the bad now. Denny missed that layup. I was very upset about that. We watched him in Eurobasket. He was finishing better in Euro. I know it's not the NBA, but he was finishing better in Eurobasket. He looked more aggressive. He finished through contact, but he did bounce back. He had a nice take to Jaden Ivey where he went to his right, went into Jaden Ivey's body, and scored with his right hand. And the layup he missed was on the left side. And everybody talks about his left hand. He has to improve with that. So he's just got to make layups. You're 6'9", you're athletic. We've seen you dunk before. just go up and dunk the basketball. You're too tall. You're too athletic. You're too strong to go up and just miss wide open layups. It happens way too many times for Denny. Denny shot 63% around the rim last year. You're too tall. You're too strong to be finishing, finesse or weak around the rim. You're just too talented for that to keep happening. Honestly. And then, like you said, Gafford. I'll let you talk more about Gafford. Gafford had a rough game against the Cavs. He's just got to rebound better. It is what it is. You just got to be stronger. He has to set screens better. He didn't get called for an illegal screen tonight. That was great. And I thought he battled against Jalen Duran and Isaiah Stewart. They're no slouches. Those guys are strong too. Those guys are strong. They're both young, but Gafford's young too. But those guys are some strong oxes at the center and power forward position. So I got to commend Gafford tonight for bouncing back and playing a lot better.
Yeah, he played a lot better. Yeah, I'll give him that. He definitely bounced back. But I am a Daniel Gafford fan. I've said it time and again. I thought the trade from Chicago was a good trade, but he's got to evolve to a certain degree. He's going into a contract extension next season. Being a backup to KP, boxing out. I mean, bro, they're teaching boxing out, and at a young age. So we got to get on these fundamentals. Like, he looked better, but you also saw there was times where he was clearly outmatched. I mean, they were getting rebounds they should not have gotten with Gaff in the paint, and his boxing out. I don't know, man. Like I said, I like Gaff, but he's not consistent enough. There's games where he shows energy, he shuts down the paint. There's games where he's lost. He's just the rebounding has to get better. This is his forte. Look, he's a traditional big. He doesn't have a 3-point shot. He's still working on the mid range. He's got to rebound and box out and get these boards. That is his bread and butter. And if he can't do that, I got to really question whether, we're going to have to pay him that extension, or he's, that's just me being honest. And I'm not alone in that. Him backing up KP. He's got to get better with the fouls. He's got to get better with the rebounding, because that's his bread and butter. He's got to be consistent. But he did play better. So I'm positive that he's gonna get better, because he's just the energy, man. When he gets those dunks and he shows the energy, man, it's just you want to get up and just because he's just electrifying sometimes. But I'm gonna slide to Denny. Denny, man, wow, man. I've seen a different player the last couple of games. The defense has not been as locked down as it usually is. The night, Bogdanovich, 25 points. There's a few shots, especially in the first half, where Bogdanovich cooked him a little bit. He got some 3-point shots over Denny. The aggression, like you said, finishing at the hoop. He's got to get that dog back. And that's another thing, consistency. With both Denny and Gaff, there has to be a lot more consistency. Denny, when he's on, he's on. When he's off, he's a totally different player. And it showed. The energy wasn't with him tonight. Finishing, he has to get better finishing. Of all the athleticism he's got to finish better. And look, this team looks good, but we talk about consolidation trades. People are fighting for extensions right now. People are fighting for playing minutes. Denny's fighting for that 3. Don't get it twisted. Rui's looking for that 3 spot. So he's got to get better. He's the defense is. I have all the confidence in the world that Denny's defense is going to be there. But he hit a 3 tonight, but then there's a few shots he was way off. It's just. I want to see a step forward with Denny and Gaff. But, I like both of them. I think they're both very good players, but they have to be more consistent. What do you think?
Yeah, consistency is key. I know it's only been 4 games, but we saw Denny where, last year he put his head down if he had some bad games, if he had some rough games. We know I remember the Golden State where he would post on social media that he was in the gym at midnight working out. There were some games where he went over a couple games in a row last year, but he bounced back towards the end of the season. He had a rough first half, played better in the second half, finished the game with 9 points. He did hit a big 3, 1 for 3 from the field, 3 for 6 from the field. He did have but he had 7 boards too. That's something we got to talk about too. He's a guy where if his offense isn't going, he still does other things. The question mark with Rui is his offensive game will be going, but does he do other things? I think he's done a better job of doing other things. But yeah, if Denny can't make layups, or if he consistently misses layups, then Wes may have to look at making a change. It could be Will, it could be Rui. I do like those guys off the bench because they bring that firepower, that scoring firepower that the bench clearly needs. And we saw Corey Kish, we haven't really brought him up yet. He's going to start practicing with the G League and start ramping up him recovering. The ankle injury happened October 2nd when they played the Warriors. So they said 4 to 6 weeks. It's getting closer. It hasn't been 4 weeks yet, but it is starting to get closer. They're trying to bring him back so they can get that full rotation going. DeLon Wright, unfortunately, that's going to be an injury that's going to hurt us. Hopefully he's not out for too long. Not an expert. I'm not a doctor, so I don't know how long he's going to be out. I forgot to shout out Jordan Goodwin, too. Jordan Goodwin, he had a nice offensive rebound and put back. He's one of the guys that made the roster this year. Isaiah Todd played a little bit. He didn't get to shoot the ball at all tonight. Taj Gibson shot 1-3. He missed it. What did you think about Johnny Davis and his 2 minutes tonight?
It's 2 minutes. I mean, his shot still. I mean, his shot is still struggling, man. It's
a work in progress.
Yes, as time goes by, it's just we gotta get his brother in the G League. I mean, it's just not looking good. As time goes by, he's got to shoot better. So I think that I see a G League spot for him. I love Johnny, man, but he's off. His shot is off. Jordan Goodwin got some playing time tonight. I'm high on him too. I think he should inherit some of those minutes from Johnny because Johnny's off. I don't know what it is. He's just off. I don't know. So yeah, he definitely needs to go to the G League, and I'm a big fan of Goodwin getting those minutes. But getting back to Kispert, I think he's needed. That two guard spot behind Beal, they need Kispert back. They need, Rui's done well scoring off the bench. Barton has done incredible. DeLon, right? If it's a long-term injury, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt bad because his defense has been monster this season. And so hopefully it's not a long-term injury. So yeah, we definitely need Kispert back. But man, Johnny, man, we could talk all day about Johnny. It's just the talent's there. The talent is there. He's got talent. I think the brother can play. It's just I don't know what's going on. If it's a confidence thing or just he needs work. And the shot, if you see tonight, the shot's just off. He's just his timing is. I mean, he's just so. And Gil, like I said, yeah, Kispert needs to come back. I mean, because last game, you remember last game, he had like 2-3 open looks, and he's just not hitting them. And those two guys are really the soft spot on this team because overall the bench has been incredible. I mean, that's why we've been able to roll this momentum going because this bench has been on point. This starting five has been on point. Monte has played his part perfectly. He's distributing point guard. Now, I do want to see him hit the paint a lot more. I want to see him drive the paint a lot more. And I think if he can start driving the paint, you'll see a lot more free throw attempts. We got to get more free throws. That's one thing we're lacking. We're not aggressive enough going to the paint. But no, man, I mean, overall, this was a beautiful win. This is a much needed win. We got our confidence back. Indiana, very winnable game. We need to get on this run because, like you said, 76ers, they're a monster. And Beal, he's rolling right now. So,
Celtics on Sunday as well.
Oh, my Lord. Yeah, I mean, look, we got to prove our worth, man. The Eastern Conference is no playground this year. So, but no, overall, great win.
Yeah. We're going to get the comments real quick. Last thing I saw about Johnny is 2 minutes. He had some open looks. He just didn't knock them down. I do think the G League would be better suited for him. Wes Unseld Jr. finally said it would be a possibility that he would play in the G League, so I'm happy to hear that. But let's knock out these comments real quick. Pram Ace, thank you for watching. He says, I'm so happy for Kuz. Abel Ambrosius says, pay that man Kuzma. Stuart Flaherty says that was a great game to watch. It was XD Zaytoven says Johnny Davis got to look to attack the basket. He looked timid. I thought he definitely could have went to the basket as well. Brandon Hunter says we actually have a deep playoff ready team. Denny has really blossomed. And then Brandon, if you want to respond to anything, you definitely can. Stuart says Wes mixed it up really well. Everyone played well together and with energy, tipping rebounds to each other and helping out on D. I thought so too. I thought Wes mixed it up better with the bench. That's what we started off with. What do you think, Brandon?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the bench is, we keep saying it. The bench is solid, man. I mean, this bench is nice. I mean, Barton has just been incredible. He's definitely a 6 man of the year candidate. DeLon, the defense. And I think, like you said, against taller guards, I can see him starting, but you really have to question whether there is a competition for the starting point guard spot because DeLon's playing that good. So yeah, I definitely agree. We'll see. I see a comment right here. We'll see. Nelson said the Wizards win 50 games this year. I think we need to pump our brakes just a little bit. I don't think we're there yet, but not. Hey, but I love the enthusiasm. I think this team is heading in the right direction. They really are. They're heading in the right direction.
A pod named Kickback. That's my guy. Shout out to him. I went on his channel the other day, so make sure you guys subscribe to him. He says, "What's good, fan? Will off the bench is great. How does that work when Kispert returns? A good problem to have." Yeah, I mean, when Kispert comes back, he'll go to the 2. Gil will just be the odd man out of the bench. The bench 5 would be DeLon when he comes back from injury, or it could be Monte off the bench. You know, who knows if Wes switches it up. Corey Kispert would be your 2. Will the throw would be your 3. Rui would be your 4, and then Gaffer would be your 5. So, I mean, the only person that would be sitting down is Anthony Gill.
Yeah, you need to sit down because he's struggling, man.
And I like Gill, man. He's a good guy. He's the Nick Collison of the team. That's what he is.
Yeah, but Nick Collison was sitting down for a while too.
Yeah, Friday Kickback says B unit. So he's talking about the bench unit. Cheeky Nando. As long as it's staggered, I don't like the bench unit where it's all 5 of the bench. I like it. Let Bill play with the bench, let Kuzma play with the bench, stagger their minutes. That's what I like. Kuzma and Rui play together. I like those 2 together.
Oh, Wizards shouldn't be allowed near a draft room ever again. I mean, do we need to step our draft game up? Yeah, but I mean, the guys we have, they're solid guys. I mean, I like all these players. I think Johnny is going to be a good NBA player. It's just, somebody mentioned he's very timid. I agree. He plays timid. He plays scared. He needs that. He needs confidence. And at this point, he's shown that he needs G League. He needs the G League. He's just they've been giving him playing time. 2 minutes, but I mean, it's better than nothing. But it's just he needs the G League. Kispert, I think he's a good. I mean, all the guys. Kispert, Rui, Denny. Would I have chosen them? No, but I can see why. I mean, if you look at Rui and Denny, just the fact that they're foreign players, that it has, there's a lot of revenue with that. So, I think that those were business decisions also. But, that's the thing about drafting. You just never know. I mean, every team can kind of look back and say, hey, we missed out on this guy. And I know we're historically known for missing out on almost every all-star out there. But, you never know. I think we need to step our game up. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on scouting, and it's on fit too. They drafted Denny when you have John Wall at the point guard and Russell Westbrook at the point guard. You needed a 3-and-D guy, and they tried to force Denny to be a 3-and-D guy. Even drafting Troy Brown Jr., they try to make him into a 3-and-D guy. That's just not what he is. He's a point forward. Denny's more of a point forward. He needs the ball in his hands to be successful. Denny's trying to form himself into a 3-and-D guy right now, which is still a work in progress for him. And then they drafted Corey Kispert to be a 3-and-D guy, just a knockdown shooter. That's just what he is. He hasn't been that consistently yet. And you kind of know what Corey Kispert's ceiling is. He just, he's a specialist. He's 3-point specialist. He can do more. He can put the ball on the floor. He's not going to create for you. He's a great off-ball cutter. He's a great backdoor cutter. But you see a guy like Bones Highland from the Nuggets, he's just going to give you more isolation. He's going to give you more wiggle. He's going to break you down. He's going to get to the basket. So that's one guy. You like you said, Brandon, you can always pinpoint to one guy that was drafted behind him. Denny, you can look at Halliburton. Rui, you can look at Tyrese Maxey. So, and I think Rui's been really good. I like what Rui gives you. Rui was kind of, a question mark. He was a mid-range game kind of guy, not a 3-and-D guy. So people were confused. They compared him to Kawhi Leonard. I think Rui has been the best draft pick out of all Tommy Shepard's draft picks, to be honest with you. But he's still a question mark. Defense is a question mark. Kind of vision and passing is a question mark. So, yeah, I mean, Tommy, he just hasn't hit a home run. And when you keep picking at 9, picking at 10, Johnny Davis, once again, he's a huge question mark. I want to give that young man 3 more years. It's hard to just say we're going to give him 3 more years, but you got to give him 3 years to see what he really is. It's going to be a long developmental process. And now they're saying that they want to play him at point guard when he's never really played point guard before. So the developmental process is a part of the problem, too. It's not just who you're drafting. It's like, hey, what plan do you have for this young man? What plan do you really have for Denny? What plan do you really have for Johnny Davis to be successful? What plan do you have for Corey Kispert? Tommy didn't draft Troy Brown, but what was the plan for his developmental process? So that goes into it too. And I like Johnny coming out. I love Johnny coming out. I loved his tape of Wisconsin. I thought he was a dog, man. I thought he played hard. He played defense. The mid-range game is not, it's not the best. It's not best. His game wasn't best suited for an NBA game. Athleticism is not. He's not the most explosive guy in the world, but he played hard and he got buckets when he could. He was the best player on his team, and he had the ball in his hands a lot, which is not going to happen with Bradley Beal as you're starting to, and Corey Kispert. So looking back at it, wasn't the best fit. Like you said, you can look at AJ Griffin, Jalen Williams. You can just name a plethora of guys, Tari Eason. But I'm not going to do that to the young man. This is his fourth game. I want to see the confidence that he does in Taco Bell commercials and Greenberg and Betterman commercials and what's the other commercial he's doing? I feel like he's doing another commercial too. I want to see the confidence that he's showing in the commercials come out in the ball game. So I mean, we can talk about the draft all night, but we'll knock out a couple. We'll knock out a couple of comments here.
Have you seen a Betterman commercial?
Yeah, I've seen it multiple times.
I'm a pro basketball player. It's like, oh man.
Yeah.
Oh man, he's scared on the commercial. Oh man. I mean, hey, you're right, man. I mean, it comes down to development. You need to draft guys who fit your system, or you need to play them to their strengths. We're, us trying to create these phantom positions. Look, Johnny ain't a point guard. He's not a point guard. He's never played. So why would you take a guy who never played in high school, never played in college, and he goes to the pros, you try to make him a point guard? Nah. I mean, look, Corey Kispert, can he be decent at defense? Same thing with Rui. Can they be decent defenders? Yeah, but they're not 3-and-D guys. Nah. I mean, I don't see Rui or Corey being lockdown defenders. I think you have better odds of trying to get Adam Silver to get cornrows than you do of getting Rui to be a 3-and-D player. I'm just saying. I mean, it's just it's not going to happen, man. So they need to stop trying to create, push guys to be what they're not. We failed Troy Brown. In my opinion, we failed him. We failed him because we kept trying to get him to be this player that he's just not, man. So draft guys to the system you have and play them to their strengths. Corey Kispert's a shooter. Just like, there's a lot of just shooters out there. Robinson with the Miami Heat. These guys are shooters. Let him be a shooter, So that's just my take on it. But, well, I mean, what do you think?
No, I basically said my whole case, like the development, do they have a real plan that fits this team? Like if you have Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal in your team, then you need to get a 3-and-D guy, a guy that doesn't need the ball in his hands. Because I'm talking about Denny's rookie year, where Russell Westbrook obviously dominated the ball, Brad dominated the ball. There's no chance for Denny to put the ball on the floor and be the best player he can, because Denny he's at his best when he's getting the rebound, he's pushing the pace and kind of running the show like we saw in Eurobasket, which is just not going to happen in the NBA much. I know it's a totally different game, but for Denny to unlock his potential, that's just what you got to do. Same thing with Troy Brown Jr. And they just haven't drafted guys and had a plan for him. Like Johnny Davis, they're trying to play him at a point guard. Wes Unseld Jr. in preseason said we want to make him uncomfortable. So just the plan and the thought with drafting these guys is not really adding up right now. It's just not. So they have to. If I would have drafted that year with Russell Westbrook or John, even if they would have kept John Wall that year, you got to get a 3-and-D guy, because he's running the show. Russ is running the show. You want to find 3-and-D guys to fit next to Brad. I always look at what the Suns did with Mikal Bridges next to Devin Booker and Chris Paul, Jay Crowder, who's on the market that you really like. That's what the Wizards should have went for in the draft. That's what they should have looked for. Guys who can knock down and shoot the three, and they kind of drafted, they just have a wonky model of things. And like I said, Johnny Davis is a good player, man. He's not a bad player. I just think developmental wise, it's going to take some time. If he went to the Thunder, maybe he'd be getting more playing time and get more of an opportunity to develop. But here with the Wizards, you're playing behind Bradley Beal, you're going to play behind Kispert. And once again, if he was a better player, if he was playing better, he would get playing time too. So I can't just say that if he was on the Thunder, he would play more. But yeah, it's a work in progress with Johnny. Confidence is not there. He's just got a lot to work on. But I like his defense and his rebounding. I like that a lot. I really do.
Yeah, I totally agree. Totally agree on all points. But we're going to go ahead and wrap it up tonight. Thanks for making Locked On Wizards your first listen. For your next listen, check out the Locked On Sports Today podcast. The biggest stories of the day, plus instant reactions, big game recaps, and a take of the day. Available on Odyssey app, YouTube, or wherever you get podcasts. But before we go, who is your player of the game and who is your defensive player of the game?
The defensive belt, man. The defensive belt. It's between Delon and Denny. I know you said Denny struggled against Bogdan, but I really like Denny's defense in the second half. I liked how he played against Cade. He played really well against Jaden. There was one challenge that we lost, Wes Unseld Jr. challenge, where Jaden Ivey, he hooked Monte Morris, and that was ridiculous. They didn't call that, or they didn't reverse the call. You know what? I'm going to go with Denny, man. I like the spark that he gave in the second half. I definitely would have gone with Delon, too. I know he got injured. But I'm going to go with Denny as the defensive, winning the defensive belt. Just that block on Cade was incredible, and him guarding multiple positions. Player of the game, I'm going to go with Kuz, man. Kuz Mania, pink sweater, all that good stuff. The way he ran the floor and dominated, I know some people are talking about his defense. I thought he was better defensively tonight, too. But he bounced back from that Cleveland game. He really did. He was 7 for 8 from the free throw line. And he missed 2 huge free throws against the Cavs, and he stepped up and made his free throws tonight, too. He was playing bully ball. He was getting downhill. He was getting to the basket. He was very aggressive tonight. So I love the way that Kyle Kuzma played. 25 points and 6 boards tonight. 9 for 17 from the field, plus 23 in the plus. I know people hate plus minus, but plus 23 in the plus minus box. So Kuzmania, man, he wants to get paid.
And he needs to get paid. Mm-hmm. That is my player of the game. Kuz was cooking tonight. Mr. Pink Sweater. I mean, he stepped up. I'm very impressed with Kuz, man. He shows that he is the third part of this big three. But defensive player of the game, I'm rolling with Delon, man. Mm-hmm. He was all over the place. Every game this season, he's been all over the place. Defensively, he is locked down. I mean, he's just the energy, his defensive prowess, his leadership. You know, when guys see you working that hard on the defensive end, you want to work that hard on the defensive end. So, you know, he's shown by example. So that would definitely be my defensive player of the game. But we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Please, Twitter handles are below. Please follow me and my guy, the real Ed Oliver, on Twitter and Instagram. Like and subscribe. Everybody have a good night. Peace.
Peace.
Duh.
Duh.